Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Miguel Ramirez. I'm going to be your host today. I'm one of the team members, financial advisors at Urban Wealth Management. Today we have our August webinar, Smart Women Savvy Money. And the topic is creating a COVID-19 recovery plan with your local Small Business Development Council and the Small Business Administration. If this is the first time you're tuning in, we host these webinars the last Thursday of every month, except during the holidays, which is December. We are a firm of all female financial advisors, certified financial planners. Our intention is to help people create a lifestyle with a plan that they desire and they deserve. We primarily work with women, not at the exclusion of men, but because women have been overlooked and underserved, we feel that we want to give them as many resources as we can so they could thrive. Our guest speaker today is Celeste Young Ramos. I know Celeste for about, I think, 4 years. And she is a business advisor at Pacific Coast Regional Small Business Development Center. She specializes in helping startups with business planning, human resources, and restaurants. She is the founder of Restaurant Success Center, a consulting firm that provides restaurants with training and human resources. She comes from a family of restaurant owners, and she was a regional training manager at and international business consultants for Denny's. With that said, let me welcome Celeste. You can go ahead and take it on from here.
All right, Miyu, thank you very much for that nice introduction. I'm going to start sharing the slides here. And I'm really excited to be here today. Two things I love talking about are money and business. So it's a perfect agenda here. So today I'm representing America's SBDC here in California. We're going to talk about creating your COVID-19 recovery plan. And you did an excellent job of telling about my work history. But I wanted to tell a little bit about my investment history. Luckily, my mother, being a single mother, was very wise, and she always read financial magazines. And so my mom, over her lifetime, was able, to glean all this information and do investing and take her money and invest in apartments. And she's done very well for herself, amassing several $1 million. And my husband and I as well took our income from our jobs and things and leveraged it, and we're able to invest in apartment complexes and invest in the stock market and things over the years. And we have also amassed multi-figure, million-figure dollar nest egg. And I am a client of Urban Wealth Management as well, and Mia is actually my advisor, and I really appreciate her because she has really helped us to now that we're getting close to retirement, to find ways to strategize to have a lot of tax savings, and also to do the transition of legacy wealth. And so we're very pleased with how that's going, and we owe Urban Wealth Management a debt of gratitude. So with that, I want to welcome you all here from Urban Wealth Management, but also from Pacific Coast Regional Small Business Development Center. We serve Los Angeles County, and we are a nonprofit supported by the SBA. And our main mission is helping businesses start, grow, and succeed. So today's agenda, I'm going to quickly go over what an SBDC is and how it can support your business. We'll also talk about the state of the workplace and update you on some current business environment conditions. And then we'll talk briefly about what are some COVID-19 recovery steps and give you a few tips for regrowing your business here during post COVID. So, an SBDC is a network of over 1,000 locations that help stimulate economic growth and business development. As I said, we are a proud resource partner of the Small Business Administration. So, we provide business consulting, training, and resources to small businesses throughout LA County. Now, some of you that may be here may say, well, I'm outside that area. And don't worry, if you send me your email at the end, we'll find a location that's close to you. But they help with business startup and incubation and also permitting and business development. And the best kept secret is that it's no cost and there's no catch to that. I myself started several businesses through the SBDC, and I'm glad to be paying it forward by helping other businesses get started up as well. So what we can do is provide business owners some guidance. And, a lot of times when you're a small entrepreneur, you're just there in a vacuum by yourself. But I highly recommend that you connect with either a small business development center or a chamber of commerce or some other organization that can funnel information to you that's pertinent, particularly during times of disaster like natural disasters or here with our COVID-19. So each center has vetted marketing, funding, legal, accounting, human resources, and sometimes restaurant advisors that can help you build your plan. And over the last year and a half, we have spent numerous hours helping people to pivot their businesses to be able to survive during COVID-19. So we offer those services to everyone, and you just need to pick up the phone or get on the email and give us a ring. So when we start talking about a post-recovery plan, right now, I could say we're probably not even totally in post-recovery. It was still day to day, we're like trying to assess how things are going with COVID variants coming into the market that are causing a lot of turmoil. So whenever you're creating a business recovery plan, you need to first assess the damage. So have a clear picture of, where you're at now, what are some of the weaknesses you have, and how can we mitigate some of the potential losses and even strengthen your company. And what we've seen over the last year and a half is that many companies had to respond by jumping into the digital sector and to get online and use vehicles like Zoom and things and online ordering and take their business more digitally. So I think it's actually pushed business in that direction toward technology much quicker than we were anticipating or wanting to go. But at the same time, we've discovered that now we may have more markets that we can sell to because of that. The next step is taking advantage of new and remaining support that's available from the federal and local government. And then the last part is rehiring and rebuilding your brand. And I'll be sharing with you some strategies that will help you with doing that. So, assessing the damage on a national level, right now, 99% of all businesses in the US qualify as small businesses. And collectively, they employ nearly half the nation's private workforce. And they've been one of the hardest hit sectors amid the pandemic. The three business industries that have been most impacted are restaurant and hospitality, which includes travel, airlines, and also retail. And all of these have been impacted by local restrictions. I know here in LA, most retail stores were closed unless you had a grocery in there. And most of the restaurants for long extended periods of time were only able to do delivery. So we see a big impact there that's going to hit those industries for years to come. Compared to January 2020, 34% of small businesses have closed, which is heartbreaking.
Mm.
And in San Francisco, one of the most affected metro areas, there was a closure rate of 48% of small businesses. I know I went there on vacation in June,
Mm.
and I was shocked to see some of the long-standing legacy restaurants and businesses that my family would always go to for special occasions were completely boarded up and did not look like they had any intention to reopen.
Mm.
So I know many of you here on the call have probably been impacted as well, and we're here to help. We hope that we can give you some support in whatever stage your business is in at this point. So it's likely that we could see this recovery be more of an exasperated at K shape. So instead of, we hit the bottom and now we're going up, we are going to see some businesses and industries going back up, and we're going to see some that are still in decline and will be heavily impacted. One of the biggest unknowns at this time is COVID infections are on an increase with some of the Delta variant out there. So, we're always concerned with that. And I know here in Los Angeles, as we see our numbers rise with infection rates, we get concerned. Will the health department close us down and tighten up restrictions again, which will once again impact business and will have a very negative impact. I think we've seen a lot of open, close, which has wreaked havoc on hiring and employment. And we're also seeing if you've gone out and eaten or gone shopping or things, there's big price increases. I'm shocked. Through COVID, I've cooked almost every single meal at home for my family because we are high risk people. And now I've been returning out to restaurants, and I'm just like, the prices have gone up about 30%, and it's quite shocking. So we're seeing that due to increases in labor and also due to logistics and supply chain problems that are occurring out there. So we do feel that the labor situation will improve, and as that improves, the supply chain will also improve. So in 2020, we'll probably see much improvement there. So with any time that you have a situation, whether you're starting a business out or you've had some change in your business, we always recommend that you do a SWOT analysis. And I think now with COVID, it's even more important to reassess our business and determine, what are the strengths or things that my company does really well? Are there some emerging services that we've been able to put in place that prior to COVID, we didn't feel were important, but now have become a mainstay and have actually brought more revenue into our business? Um, the next thing to look at is what are the weaknesses? How has COVID left us right now? How are we financially? How are we staff wise? Many businesses I see because of staffing shortages have started to look a little shabby. Like when things get cut, cleanliness gets cut, repairs gets cut. And, perhaps you've not moved into the digital world but the rest of your industry is continuing on. Are you falling behind there? Um, and do you need funding to be able to put those things into place to keep you competitive? The next thing is to look at opportunities. A lot of companies did a great job of pivoting and changing their products they sold to meet what the supply and demand of the COVID client is. I've seen clothing chains totally change from a more formal clothing to a very
Mm.
Zoom casual attire. So opportunities are not like what we consider like weaknesses. We often interchange those words in our language, but opportunities are there areas or underserved markets out there that you can go out and grab some of those clients. Are there few competitors in your area that you can try to attract some of their clients, or their emerging products? And then lastly, are there threats to your environment now? We know COVID variant, the Delta is a threat. Some of these supply chain issues are a threat. And even our staffing at this point, I talk to many business owners on a regular basis that share that they'd like to open up more hours, but they don't have anyone to fill the shifts. And and some of the customers, maybe there still may be a fear out there of going into businesses. Some people are
Mm.
still very scared, you know. So those are all considerations that we have to look at and see what can we do with our business to make our business um, clear those objections for the clients. You notice the last year, most businesses did not advertise their products. They advertised the safety of coming into their businesses and using their services, or the ease of, purchasing from home. And now you're starting to see everyone advertise nationally for hiring, you know, and soon as things stable out, then we'll see businesses start to go back to advertise for their mainstay products. So once we assess our business, if we find that we have a financial shortfall and we feel that our company is still a viable business, there are some really great opportunities for you in through the disaster relief that are less expensive to you than going after conventional loans or SBA loans. Many times people will come to us and say, "We'd like to get an SBA loan. We're running out of money. We need cash." Well, that's fine if they're able to qualify, because everything is looking at whether you're qualifiable. But there are much cheaper options through COVID, particularly if your business has been impacted by COVID. I mean, there are some companies that actually flourished because the needs were things that their companies supplied, like masks and sanitizers and things like that, for instance. But or people that were able to pivot their business to provide service in a different manner. Um, so we often say to them, if your business was viable before COVID-19, then we would recommend that you try to go after COVID-19 funding, because the interest rate is probably half or less of what you'd get through a bank or through the SBA. So I wanted to go over a few that are still available that sometimes people aren't totally aware of. I think the widely known one, which is a federal disaster relief, is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, sometimes termed as EIDL. That one actually came out in March of 2020. And this one has morphed a couple times. It has been a 3.75 interest loan, which is exceptionally cheap. You can get up to $2 million. And it does have a payoff of 30 years. So the whole premise behind this was to have low interest and a long time to pay it, so that in the immediate uh, we could have very low payments. So that's how it initially started. It has morphed now so that you can also not pay your first payments for 2 years. So that's extended out. And it does have a prepayment penalty, so you can repay it at any time. So, we have encouraged people in the past, particularly at the beginning of COVID, when we didn't know how long things were going to be, it's like, you know, uh, apply for this, have it in as a egg in your basket, so that you have more options instead of having to go to high limit, high interest credit cards. They did come back and allow to have people also come back and increase their amount of idle. So they had it at 150 for a while, and 1,000, and now they've moved it up much higher. So if you'd like to get an increase on that, if you go to the idle site or contact us at one of the SBDC centers, we'll be glad to help you with your application. In fact, we can provide you information, or sit there and if you say, "I'm not too great with computers," we can sit right there and help you input it. So wherever you're at, your need, we're going to meet you there. Now, California also has their own a couple COVID funds as well. The first one is the California Rebuilding Fund. This has slightly more interest at 4.25 than the EIDL. And it has a smaller amount of money that you can borrow. You can borrow up to $100,000 or 3 months of your average months in 2019 prior to COVID, because they feel that people's businesses were, on an uptrend in 2019, and with COVID, they took a large hit. So they'll let you use the sales for the 2019 or the beginning of 2020. This has a shorter repayment period. It's 3 to 5 years, and this is sourced out with local banks. So you fill out an application and they send your information to a network of banks, and they choose which bank will do your loan. The other one that we have right now is from California, was recently refunded by Governor Newsom. It's called the California Relief Grant. This actually started earlier this year in February and has had multiple rounds. A lot of people have applied and have been on the wait list, but it is opened up again. And with this grant, you can get a grant for $5,000 to $25,000. It's all based on your sales. So you have to have been in business since June 1st of 2019 and made at least $1,000 in sales and have done your 2019 business taxes. But if you are from 1,000 to 100,000, the grant is 5,000. From 100,000 to $1 million, it's 15,000, and $1 million to 2.5 million is 25,000. So right now they have a round open for nonprofits that are cultural backed, like any kind of cultural entertainment type institution, a museum, etc. They have a round open between August 27th and September 8th. And they have opened up a new round on September 9th through the 30th for people that have never applied before, and also people that were on the wait list. So I think they added like $116 billion to this fund. So I think there's very good chance if you apply and you're eligible that you will be able to get some. We keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But once again, if you need any help with any of these types of fundings, please contact us at our office.
Oh, Celeste, can I ask you to, or can I write your email on the chat so people can make sure that they can email you directly?
Yes, definitely. Let me get my email on there for you.
Yes.
So right now we're kind of they're winding down with a lot of the COVID funding and things. So I don't think we'll see any more really large programs unless they're state or local programs. But there is a tax credit that I'm finding that most employers don't know about. And it's called the Employee Retention Credit. So when the EIDL and the PPP came about, they first said that if you took PPP, you couldn't take advantage of employee retention credits. In January, when they did the Appropriation Act, they did some changes to EIDL and also to this retention credits. And they said, no, that's not true. You can still take them, but you can't take them during the period you used your PPP money. So if you were like in an 8-week PPP covered period and you used up all your money, you could take this employee retention credit for the time period that you weren't paying out with PPP money. So how they based this was first on revenues, and then they based it on once if you met the revenue requirement, then you were able to receive the tax credit. And this is a tax credit against your Social Security wages that you pay in at the end of the quarter. So you would just make an adjustment on your quarterly report. And if you've not done this prior because you weren't aware of it and because they did change the regulation on it, you can go back and
Oh, that's
do
why.
retros. So,
Oh,
so I have a lot of clients that are doing that now, and that can be done by your payroll company or by if you have an accountant, they should be able to do it as well. So in 2021, what they were doing there, and it looks like I accidentally put the revenues on the wrong line, so we need to shift those up. But in 2021, if your sales are down more than 20%, then any quarter where you weren't using your PPP money, you can receive up to 70% of the first $10,000 of wages for each employee. So that's a lot of money, you know. So I would definitely go back and look at my sales and see what quarter I would qualify and then, put my PPP against that. Some of you may not have even gotten any PPP, then you would be eligible for the entire amount. And for 2020, you had to be more than 50% down on your sales. And in 2020, they were giving you 50% of the first $10,000 of qualified wages per employee in each qualifying quarter. So I saw many employers, receiving $5,000 a pop for employees. So I would definitely go back and look at your records and see if this would apply to you. So this is from any wages that you paid for March 13, 2020 through December 31st, 2021. And these all have to be wages that were paid through payroll system and withheld payroll taxes. And you can
oh.
also include employer paid health benefits as part of the qualified wages.
Hmm. That's a lot of extra money, like you said, and they could, even if they have already filed their taxes, you
Yep.
could have an amendment. So,
Yes, you can go back and amend it
amended.
and you know, the the it's sometimes unknown by some of the accountants. So if you have any difficulty, like some of the smaller ones won't know, but like if you use ADP or any of the large
They checks
will
one of
definitely
those.
know about it. Yeah. And they'll process it for you. And they only charge like ADP only charges like $150 for the whole thing. So it's really well worth it. And then a lot of people took advantage of the payroll protection program, which is now closed for new applications. But we do want to remind people to apply for their forgiveness because we're finding people that got it last year during the first round and they were so excited about getting the money, but they completely forgot to do the application for forgiveness and are being stuck with paying the whole
Oh,
amount.
oh, okay.
And, this was a 1% interest loan if you didn't follow the requirements for forgiveness or you forgot about it. So the rule is that you have to make your application no later than 10 months after your 8 or 24-month covered period. So those ones that were made here in 2021, they all fell. Any of them made after June of 2020 fall in the 24 week,
Mm,
unless you say you want to go 8 weeks. But
mm.
the ones prior to that were only 8-week covered periods. So 95% of the loans that were made in the payroll protection program were less than 150,000. And so recently the IRS decided that, this is just like so much work to go and document and chase down all this information. So they did make a shorter form. So now really all you have to do if you're in that range is tell them how much you spent on labor. And you should have spent 60% of the total amount on labor.
Mm.
And if you met that criteria, then they're going to forgive all the rest of it. You won't have to justify it. But there is a new Irs Forgiveness Portal, and I put the link down below there. So with the forgiveness, your lender will usually send you an email inviting you to do your application. And I've noticed most of them are now sending out like we've enrolled in this new Irs Forgiveness Portal. So please go there and complete your application. So
Perfect.
you should be able to do that with just five minutes or so. You just need to have some information off your original document because you have to have your bank's loan number and your SBA PPP loan number. So that's the only thing that seems to send people looking. The rest, they usually have the information ready and available.
Mm.
So let's talk a little bit about the hiring situation, because I think for most business owners that I talk to, that is the thing that is stressing them at this time. So in January, the Bureau of Labor Statistics announced the turnover rate for the hospitality and retail industries, which make up most of the small business sector, reached a whopping 137% turnover in 2020 compared to 78.9% in 2019. So this accounted for a lot of the layoffs we had to do ourselves because of closures, or illnesses or things like that. So, I mean, that's a massive amount. I think that's like about 40% or more.
Mm.
So that is a huge amount of people to have to rehire and find jobs for. Now, some of those jobs may not have come back as some businesses have gone to more automation, or some businesses have actually gone to off-site work now since they've seen such success with that. So there have been some changes and shifts in the different industries. There's an estimated 68% of unemployed workers right now are currently collecting more on unemployment than they earned while working. So that definitely has been an incentive for many employees not to look for work. And they in most states they weren't required to search for work because there really wasn't work out there with the restrictions. But now that lots of jurisdictions have opened up again, the EDD is taking a stronger stance that you have to be actively looking.
Plus, didn't that stop? And it's going to stop in September, right?
Yeah, it's going to stop on September 5th. So
Yeah.
we should see quite a change there. There's also been a big shift in workers between industries since
Or self-employed. Also,
Yeah,
a lot of people
definitely.
have become self-employed. You know.
And that's what we're seeing a lot at the SBDC. We've seen a massive amount of people approaching us to assist with them opening up their businesses and getting permitted and getting funding and things. It's just like a tidal wave. Even during COVID was a massive amount of businesses opened as people were trying to find employment and income for themselves. So many people shifted from restaurant and retail and moved into more stable, higher paying, larger businesses who were having a shortage of workers and were willing to take warm bodies or anybody that would work, So we will find in those two industries that there will probably continue to be a shortage. And many employees are complaining that they're having difficulty finding employees. So that additional $300 a month COVID supplement will be ending on September 5th. And the other issue that was keeping people out of work was that they had to stay home for homeschooling. So with schools going back as of last week in many places, so now those parents will be free to go and look for employment, because before particularly the female workers were the ones that were the most heavily hit with that, having to take care of the children at home during that time period.
Yeah.
So when we're trying to do this hiring, one thing we have to look at is our mindsets, because the mindsets we have are really going to impact our success at bringing people on board. So there's really three groups that are part of the whole process. First is the management or ownership and their beliefs about how difficult it is to hire. We have applicants that may have fears and fears that we have to get over and solve for them so that they will feel comfortable coming back. But then you also have current employees in the mix that may sometimes have other agendas. So for management, what I'm hearing a lot is I'm tired and burnt out. A lot of owners have had to actually start managing if they were like absentee owners, or actually take over employee jobs as they're trying to cut back labor and keep things afloat. Um, People are saying no one wants to work. And here in LA, I know people are worried. Are they, if COVID keeps having more increases here, are they going to make us close and restrict again? And so they're very reluctant of bringing more people on. They want to wait a little while and see what happens.
Mm.
Our applicants are saying, I'm afraid to go to work. We have a lot of blended families throughout the country, particularly in the large metropolitan areas, to be able to live in those high income areas. And so they're saying, I'm worried about going to work and being exposed to people. I have the senior generation in my home. I also may have children under 12 that aren't vaccinated. And so that's a fear that we have to overcome for them. And so we really should be playing up all the precautions we're taking in our workplace to protect them if they do return through mask uses or vaccine policies if you choose to go that route, and even maintaining a lot of the procedures you had in place during restriction times where we were required to do more social distancing and increase sanitation. Some are saying I make more staying home. Well, that's going to change soon. And so we've already starting to see people come back out looking for work. And, if it's going to stop in another week and a half, you need to kind of get on board now so that you'll have something to fill that in 2 weeks. But there is a sentiment, everyone's hiring, and I can be more selective.
Mm.
It's happening. So people aren't accepting poor employers. And so it's really important that you look not only at hiring, but retaining them once you bring them on. And then you have current employees who might be undermining the situation. You're going to have some that are like, yay, help's on the way. I'm so thankful. I'm tired of working two jobs, like having to be a cook and a server or do multiple positions in whatever business. So they're looking forward to it. But there are some that are saying, I don't know, is it safe with these new people? Now there's more people here. There's so much conflict in the workplace right now between people who are vaccinated and not vaccinated. So we have to really watch that because there could be issues of discrimination depending on how you handle those situations. And then I make more without the new people. Some people have actually been cleaning up because they've gotten paid overtime or extra hours to compensate for the lack of employees, so they might actually be doing things to undermine the new people coming in. So we just want to meet in the middle where we all get our minds together and the needs of the management, employees, and applicants are being met.
Mm.
So with that, there's just kind of like two prong. First, you got to work on your hiring strategy, and then you got to work on your retention strategy. So I see a lot of places where I'm starting to see new hiring signs put up. If you have old ratty things that don't look fresh, that don't have people smiling on them or things like that, I would totally update them. Make sure your staff knows all the positions that are available. Perhaps do like a referral program where they can get paid for bringing people in.
Mm.
Post in more locations. Some people would like only post one or two places. They got very complacent. Now we need to be posting. There's multiple sites that are free for posting job applications that if you email me, I'd be glad to send those to you. And then interview more quickly. You can't be waiting on someone for 2 weeks. You need to be hiring people quickly because there's so many people out there. It's just like when you shop online. If you can't get an answer to a question, you move to the next vendor. It's the same with employment right now. Employees will move on rather quickly. And then review your wage structure. We have seen prices go up. I've seen here in Los Angeles where our minimum wage is $15 now for the city, that some of the minimum wage positions have gone up $1 to $2 or more, depending. And so that is something that's going to You as a business owner are going to have to compensate for that, by raising prices. Um, and as you and we're also seeing commodities go up significantly, pork for one, for instance. So as these prices go up, unfortunately, it has to go down. The majority of that has to go to the guest. And I don't think some people are responding quickly enough. You can do sign-on bonuses. And if you're so busy doing job codes that you can't interview, then I would hire a recruiter or some kind of HR support that can come in and do interviews and refresh all your job postings and things like that. And then lastly, as we know, even before COVID, most of the people that are in the workforce today are millennials, 24 to 44-year-olds. And they're also the people that are most people spending money. They don't have the most money, but they're the ones out doing the most shopping. They need to work for a company with purpose that they feel good about, that they see advancement opportunities. And so we need to adjust to that. And since COVID, it's even been brought to more the forefront. So one thing I found that I used for many years working at Denny's is I created ambassadors. So when new people came in as employees, it was so important to get them into the fold as quickly as possible. So I would assign mentors and ambassadors right from the beginning to help them assimilate into the company and feel like they've built a friendship of people. Because that's what's going to tie them to you, is that emotional connection and engagement. And then follow through with the commitments that you've made to them and check in with them regularly to make sure their job satisfaction, and your ambassadors can report back to you as well. But what I have found over the years is people get hired on for a job, but really they spend about 3 months interviewing you. They're still seeing if you follow through with what you say, and is the place what you described and what the work condition is. So find out their goals and help them reach them, even if it's things that you say, oh, they're just going to leave me. Well, if the stronger you make them while they're there with you, it'll just make them better performers. And I found that by investing that energy, they ended up staying like 6 months to a year or more longer than they typically would,
Yeah.
because they were learning something. And that's important to that age group.
Okay.
And then, as much as possible, get their families involved so that their family also feels a connection with your company. So they'll feel they'll be more willing to make adjustments. So by assessing the damage of what COVID's done to your business or even your personal life, taking advantage of any of the support that's out there through the federal or state government, local governments, and then focusing a new strategy and light on rehiring and rebuilding, I think you could have a brighter post COVID-19 recovery. So here are the contact information for our center that covers Los Angeles County. I will also share on the next page my email address, so you can contact me directly if you are out of the area, and or if you'd like to contact directly with me to help support your business. So there are 1,000 locations across the country. So if you're watching this from the East Coast, there's plenty out there to support you as well. So that's all I had to present. I know I was really running through this fast.
Well, thank you very much, Celeste. This was really, really valuable information, not only for businesses that are struggling, during this past 2 years, but I think also it's very good news to know for somebody who's thinking about opening a business, maybe in a year, 2 year, that there are a lot of, and the keyword is free, uh, resources. And we're talking one-on-one coaching, right?
Yes.
And they don't even have to, with COVID, you have been doing a lot of Zoom meetings with future business, business planning. So it is, I think that in a lot of ways, COVID has brought to us and it's gonna stay here. The fact that people are saving time, working from home, they
Mhm.
are saving money because even not paying for parking and gas,
Yep.
right? And for consulting, and for the actual employers, they're also be able to, in your case, be able to see more people, right? So I think it's a win-win.
Yeah.
In a lot of industries, it's a win-win. Now, of course, we cannot forget the industries that are in the, contact, direct contact space, where obviously that's the restaurant business, in the hospitality, the healthcare, right? All of that is going to be a long time before they can actually see a peak, right?
Yeah.
Just like you said, that pay recovery is going to be a while, right? But I have hope that with Pfizer being finally FDA approved,
Oh,
there's
good.
going to be a lot of more, I would say, people that are going to feel safe
Mhm.
taking now, the vaccine, and they're talking about that third shot, like a booster for even the people who had been vaccinated.
Right.
Uh, so this is I don't think we're ever gonna go back to normal. We're
No.
gonna have to deal with this. But you know what? Like they say, change is inevitable,
Mhm.
and you gotta be able to adapt, right?
Yes, definitely.
uh, it's like technology, right? So many people fuck technology for different reasons, and if they don't, social media and any type of new technology,
Mhm.
if you don't adapt, you end up, actually walking backwards, right?
Definitely.
So,
Well, and a lot of business owners are saying that have not been in business before have said, well, I may take advantage of all of these retail and restaurant spaces that are available, that have been vacant, or now that some of the protections for not paying during COVID times are ending.
mhm,
So they're saying, well, we may have an opportunity. And I think some of the smaller landlords are like, they're eager to get people in. So we're
yeah,
seeing some discounting and things like that. Um,
yeah, for
but
businesses,
I
for
would
businesses.
definitely check.
Mhm,
Like we have California has a startup business grants and money to
mhm,
people and startup in California. So I think here we're going to see more things introduced as we try to jumpstart the economy. But the vaccine issue will become, it is a heated topic. There's so many for and so many against. We'll have to see what happens there, like with each jurisdiction, if certain laws are passed. But as an employer, you do have the opportunity to set your vaccine and mask policies as long as you're being consistent with everyone and you take into consideration people's accommodations for medical or religious reasons.
yeah.
So,
Definitely, I
yeah.
think so. I'm so happy for the here in LA, the LA Unified School District that was able to open up, and
Mhm.
most of the kids they wear, they don't care that they have to wear a mask. They want to be back in the classrooms. They want to be back with their friends.
Mhm.
I mean, the social part is a huge issue for their developmental growth.
Mhm.
So it's traffic is horrendous again.
Mhm.
Uh, but in general, I'm happy for all those parents that
Mhm.
for over a year had to, like you said, they had to take turns, watching the kids, and most
Mhm.
of the time the mother is the one. Again, women are the ones that are overlooked and underserved,
Mhm.
and now that their kids and little ones are back in school, hopefully they could start their either applying to whatever job they had before, or maybe think about a way that they could work from home, since
Yeah,
that was something that they never thought it could be possible.
definitely.
Right?
And if you are going to rehire people, particularly here in California, you need to make sure if you're rehiring people that you had worked before, that you start brand new rehire packages. You can't use their old documentation. And you
Oh,
also, if they left with sick leave, like state or like city or local sick leave on the books, because we don't have to pay out sick leave when people
mm,
terminate. If it's been under a year, you do have to reinstate those levels back in. And if you've let
mm.
anyone go with medical benefits and you let them return within 3 months, you have to reinstate their.
Reinstate their medical benefits.
Yeah.
That's right. That I had heard about. So within a year, whenever you're gonna reinstate an employee within a year, most likely they are they're retaining all their benefits.
Except their medical. They only have to,
Oh,
it's 3 months for that.
three
But
months.
sick leave
Oh,
and those things. And right now, if you're an employer of 26 or more, you also have to give what they call supplemental California sick leave for COVID-19.
oh,
So if
okay.
someone's been out sick or the time off they take for vaccines or
Mm,
are caring for somebody that's sick or
mhm,
that are out of school, they
mm,
can get their wage up to 80 hours for full time,
mm.
their average part-time hours, which for employers are like, who's going to pay for that? Well, the government will, because you can get that back in a full tax credit. You
Oh,
save money.
that's
So
true.
there's
That's
no
true.
reason that if your people get sick and you're a larger employer that you shouldn't be paying, they shouldn't be getting paid during that time.
In that time. That's right. Well, this was great. Thank you very much, Celeste, for all the fantastic information, and we will have this as a recording for in the future because a lot of people visit our website all the time, so it's always good for them to be able to have access to all of these different webinars and those resources
Mhm.
for families and for professional women and in general for all our community. So thank you very much, Celeste. Have a great day, and thank you for joining us today. Next month we will have our the first week of September is when we advertise our new topic. So thank you and hope to see you there. Bye bye.
Bye bye.